Welcome to Once Upon a Stitch, where the creativity happens. My creativity, anyway. So, you'll be seeing me work on a design and pattern for a mushroom toadstool beanie hat, as well as fingerless gloves. The fingerless gloves were a later addition, as I was just kind of working and designing on this. But overall, I wanted to, as you kind of see my progression in that, talk about a subject related to the handmade craft community and a question anyone who kind of dabbles in a craft, particularly in this case, either crocheting or knitting, gets asked, why don't you sell your items? Because some of us do, some of us don't. And I kind of wanted to go over why and why not, either if you are considering it yourself or you are curious about that question or the community in general, because there are just many factors that go into it, and I wanted to go over that a little bit. I am someone who has been selling my crochet and knit products for a couple years now, and my kind of journey with that has changed and adapted. And like in the case of what you're watching me work on here, this is specifically for a pattern, and I sell the original. At least I offer that at a higher price because, as we'll get into, this sort of design takes a lot of time and isn't very cost effective and in many people's budget to buy a hat at this price or fingerless gloves at this price. So first of all, why would you sell? Since I am someone who sells, kind of will go into that of factors that I consider or others consider when going into it. And my main draw of it is being able to work from home and doing something creative and fulfilling that I enjoy doing, and I can do it from home. In my case, I had some health setbacks that reduced me to staying at home for a long period of time, and then COVID happened. And just a lot of things happened all at once, and I needed to find a way to start making some money at home or start working on freelancing and things like that. I also do art. I do freelance illustration, but that kind of came later. So working from home is a big plus. You see a lot of moms go into this model because it's something that they can work or they at least strive to work it into around their home, around their kiddos and things there to bring in a little extra income, either to support their hobby or to actually work on it and build into a business to bring in some extra income into the household. So that's one. And for some of us, we do get drawn to the idea of actually building a business and building a brand. There is a draw to build and establish ourselves as businesswomen in that smaller kind of frame. I have had that since I was younger because my mom did that. She often had businesses from home, and I admired that model because she was able to be very present and here with us kids. She homeschooled us and so was very hands-on. And at the same time, I saw her working and doing a lot of problem solving and looking for ways to help my dad financially. So some of us have that draw that we do like the idea of actually owning a business. So that is another factor. What we will often have to come to terms with is what products can we sell at a profit. Amigurumi is popular because you can make a lot of them in a short amount of time. There is some extra materials that go into them. You need stuffing, you need the eyes, and things of that sort. And some of them are very detailed, so those will be pricier. But certain items are more cost effective that they can be in a reasonable price range for your general target audience. And from there, for creators and makers, again, and this is kind of the business aspect of it, inside of it, is to learn how to adapt to what product is doing well. If you kind of do jump on some trends when some things are cute and fun and popping off. I remember for a while I did well with a certain product and it was jumping off like hotcakes, and I kept getting more inventory and supplies for it, and then all of a sudden it went into crickets, and that they never sold again pretty much. And I kind of now have a lot of this inventory and a lot of this stuff made up, and they were just sitting there, and it shifted, and I kind of know some of the factors why, but you need to learn to figure out maybe why, or even if you don't, like, okay, what do I transition into, how to adapt to certain things. Certain products will be more evergreen, meaning they will be a sort of year-round product, or there's something people always kind of want to buy. But there's also going to need to be some adaptability to that, because those products, say, like, everyone's always going to be kind of looking for some cute hats. Those are easy to make in crochet and knitting, but that is very saturated with those products as well. So yes, while those will always be in demand, there are many people who are making them. And so constantly trying to find what works and to adapt to that. You can't kind of just make what you want to make. It really needs to be tailored toward an audience. And for bigger projects, you can, or personal designs or things that you are passionate about, but they aren't cost effective, either because they are a very heavy design, or they are very niche, or they are very just complicated, or something you personally want to put work into, you can sell the patterns, and those can be less costly in the sense that you don't have to carry inventory, you don't have to make the products. You kind of make one or two as your certain models. Maybe you'll do customs and commissions if people pay you a higher price to do that for them, but you can just sell the patterns. Kind of, you see some designers out there like Made in the Moment who does that, and that's something I've been switching into with some of my more complicated pieces to still feel creative and feel refreshed with that. But that being said, I am also one of those who likes making things on repeat if they are doing well, if I kind of get that dopamine feedback that they're selling and people are liking them. I enjoy the process of crocheting, sometimes just as much, if not more, than the final product. So I don't mind making things on repeat. I have a friend of mine who says she simply could not do that, can't see herself repeatedly making a thing again and again. She always needs a new project, and that's a reason she will not be selling, and that's something that is a distinguishing factor for many. And so those are kind of my why to sell, and I've touched a little bit on why not to sell, just because they are in contrast. But just to go over them, let's go into that. The first obvious one is for many pieces, especially clothing, it is heavily time consuming, and also if you are designing the piece, it can go up into hundreds, even over into thousands of dollars, if you were to properly pay yourself for the time it took to make it, all the material into it. And again, like I said before, there are other fees and expenses. So unless you kind of build yourself up that you are just a designer, and you really build up that people start noticing you for your unique designs, that you might get certain celebrity people who will pay you to design them an expensive piece. But most people can't afford that, so that's why many people don't go into that. They want to make these very beautiful wearables or blankets and things, and that's just typically not cost effective unless you do something more like kind of bralettes, or granny square cardigans are pretty quick to work up. You can make a decent price with that. And so many of the pieces that are bigger for me, I will offer them as a custom, but it's not reasonable to keep that in inventory. And then there's also the sizing issue there as well. So more often than not, it will need to be a made-to-order piece as well. So that just also adds to the cost for making sure you make the specific adjustments. So that's just something to keep people keep in mind, and why many people don't sell, because they're making these bigger pieces that just aren't cost effective for that. And it's often pieces they want to wear. They don't want to give it up, or it's for a family member. And many of them really just enjoy keeping it for themselves. It's a hobby, it's a process they like to enjoy, and they don't want that to be taken away by monetizing it. And I find that's a very admirable thing in this day and age. Crocheting something you kind of start picking, I was like, oh, I can make money at this. Very quickly, I've seen people think that again and again. I'm certainly one who did. And many find out that that really sucks out my ability to enjoy it. And many creatives aren't built for that, aren't meant for that. And so that's something to consider if you really want to enjoy it fully. Business will take out some of that. So just be aware of that. And alongside that, it can cause burnout. Businesses, small businesses, have to learn so much on their own. You kind of have this quick learning curve, and you have to take on all these hats and all these responsibilities. And you can't just be creating, in your room. You have to be doing all these other factors. You need to be doing the research, the marketing, the designing of the product. You need to be checking the trends. You need to be going to the markets and things of that sort. And so that is often difficult, and there's so many of those that you need to master or pay out to get someone to do. So you're in a kind of a loss sometimes, either time-wise, energy-wise, or cost-wise, as you're trying to get that underway and cover all your bases. And it will cause often a burnout with that, and again, where you may no longer enjoy actually just the craft itself because you have all these other responsibilities to take care of. As I mentioned, my friend does not like making products on repeat, and because again, that would stifle the creativity of it. And that's a factor. I'm like, you become more of a production line than necessarily just this creative person that maybe once in a while makes a commission piece because they want to and it's fun, and they don't want to monetize it and go into that. And today, where it's so easy to start a small business, I do have some admiration for people who have that self-awareness. And obviously, you've seen the trend, and what I've just been talking about here is you lose creative freedom to an extent, either due to time or because you need to tailor yourself to the market. And again, you're limited to products that are have a proper payoff that you can reasonably sell these things at. So there are a lot of pieces that you can't do for your business. So those are kind of the factors to consider between if you want to sell or not to sell. That has been my little rant about this topic, and here are the fingerless gloves along with the hat of this mushroom toadstool set. This is a design I came up with. The original right now is for sale but won't be for long, but the pattern will be available over on my Etsy if you want to check it out. They are really adorable and have that nice cottagecore aesthetic to them. Thank you for watching.